Okay, hello everyone and welcome to this video in which I want to briefly go over how to defeat the Azta'Rec question mark difficulty Delve boss in Midnight Season 2. If you're watching this video upon release, it's still possible to gain the fabled Vanquisher of Azta'Rec title for defeating it in the first week of the season before reset, but if you're watching it at a later point in time, the concepts presented here still apply and you still gain all of the other rewards, including a mount and including 60 heroic crests and 30 mythic crests, which do not count toward your seasonal cap, so they are extra. You might be wondering why this video is as long as it is. That's not because the boss is that difficult. It is because I'm also including the gameplay from my other healers, which are all healers except Druid, because they are with the cat weaving, and so I just couldn't be bothered to try on Druid. Maybe I will do it at a later point, but my Druid is in a bit of a poor state. So all of the gameplay videos from my other healers are also included at a later point in the video if you want to check it with your own class. I am showing Evoker because I found it to be the most challenging fight as an Evoker compared to the fights on my other healers. So lessons learned when fighting as an Evoker, translate to the other healers and arguably are even somewhat easier to execute on the other healers. But maybe we'll touch on that a little bit later as well. In terms of the boss itself, it has two main challenges. The first one being the pure damage that it deals. This is a challenge that is going to be counterable reasonably easily via item level. So I killed it on my Holy Priest at item level 306, and it was substantially easier than on my Evoker, which you see here, which is at item level 292. So yeah, the main mental approach for dealing with this challenge of the damage that the boss deals is to always prioritize your HP over dealing damage. I mean, obviously that should be self-explanatory, because if you're dead you can't deal any damage anymore. But what I want to say is that it's okay to just stand there and heal yourself and let Valera do whatever damage she is doing until you have stabilized, and you can then begin healing yourself again. You can also see we have another failed attempt here. Before we get into the kill attempt, I'm sort of using those a bit as an introduction. You can also see that the intermission period with the memory game can be a little bit messy. Especially if there is the venom going out at the same time, so your movement is restricted. So there's also something to be said for timing the event in such a way that the venom is not flowing while you push the intermission. The intermission will be pushed at 90%, at 60%, and at 30% of the boss's HP, and it will become progressively more difficult because you have to remember progressively more of the spell sequences. And we'll get to their nature a bit more in a second. So in the non-intermission phase, there is basically this frontal attack, Noxious Bile. The way of dealing with it is facing the boss to the outside of the room, because the frontal leaves on the ground some puddles, and you want these puddles to not be in the center of the room, because during the memory game you will be having to move there. So that's the sort of the idea for the frontal. Now you see we've already positioned ourselves to the center because we are going to push at 90% into the intermission phase. The intermission phase, the first one, is arguably the most difficult one in the question mark level encounter. Not because the memory game is more difficult, it's not. It's actually easier, but because you have less time to kill the Echo of Azta'Rec, which is the ad that he is spawning, which mirrors the boss's abilities, before the boss itself returns to the fight. And the main point of failure as a healer, or probably as a healer mainly, in this boss fight is not having the Echo of Azta'Rec defeated quickly enough. And as the first intermission is the shortest, this is most difficult in the first intermission. So use all of your cooldowns, and if you have heroism, use it in the first intermission, not in the last one, because the first intermission is shorter than the others, and you will face both mobs at the same time more quickly. This is problematic because of their soul extinction cast, which is just going to kill you if it goes through. Now Valera can interrupt it, and she can interrupt one of them, but if both of them cast, you can see it here, and immediately interrupted by Valera, so it's the ability is a non-issue, but if both of them are at the same are alive at the same time and casting in sequence, then Valera cannot interrupt and you will die. So the add must die quickly, and because the first phase is the shortest, it is therefore the most difficult to get the add down quickly enough. Beyond these abilities, the boss has a toxin effect, which you can simply dispel here. Void toxin, immediately dispel it, does a lot of damage, and bait the frontal to the outside of the room continuously. What I also think is a good idea is to always, when the frontal comes, always create distance between yourself and the boss so that you can escape his melee swings for some time. So my rule is essentially to just always move as far away from the boss as possible, and then if I'm at full HP and in a well maintained state, I can do damage. Or if I'm a little bit struggling with healing over time effects on me, then I can use this time to apply some more healing over time effects before the damage from the boss resumes. Other than that, simply dodge the poison effects on these poison bubbles rolling through the room, and try to always aim the frontal to the outside of the room if you can help it. Now you see we are approaching 60%. Which is where the next memory game will occur. And ideally, you might even want to do a little bit of a damage stop, because you want the sequence to be right. Okay, you can see 62. We have the frontal going on, which is good. Now we can move into the center. We don't want to accidentally have a frontal go off in the center. But you also want to pre-position yourself in the center before the event happens. Now I'm probably deciding I do damage stop, I want another frontal, and now I go into the center for the 60%. The add spawns, and we go into this phase again. I'm gonna jump back a little bit because I want to explain a bit about the event itself, the memory game. So I'm not using any add-ons. Let's go back a bit further. There are some add-ons which you can use for the memory game, which you then post something in the chat, and then I don't know, but it's not something that I in the spirit of the challenge that I find particularly appealing. So this is an explanation without the use of any add-ons that help you with the memory game. What I like to do is think of the center of the room as a clock. So bottom is, in my mind, it's 0. It would be 12, but 12 is a little bit more difficult to sort of remember than 0. And the bottom, where you start, is always 6. So we start at 6. Now I remember 6. We go to 3, we go to 6, we go to 0. So 6, 3, 6, 0. We go to 9, and we go to 3. 6, 0, 6, 6, 6, 3, 6, 0, 9, 3. So 6, 3, back to 6, go over to 0, which is the opposite side, go to 9, and then go to 3. And in this way, if you try to remember it like this, all you really need to do is remember up to 7 digits. The main challenge with this is that you need to remember where the starting point is. So it can help to have your camera movement in such a way that you never really look away from the starting point. I haven't done it particularly well here, but if you just keep your camera centered forward a little bit, then it will be easier to remember where the 6 is. You can probably also do a macro or put a mark down or so on the first spot to make that easier. But yeah, that's not something that I've been doing here. But yeah, and then you can try to simply remember those numbers, which I think is much easier than sort of in a less structured way trying to remember which sides it was on. When I first did my first kill on the Paladin, I did like middle left, middle back, and in my view, the numbers remembering approach is easier to execute, and it can also help. You will see it in the next intermission to put the numbers sort of in packages. So I think it's easier to remember 2 separate numbers than it is to remember one 7-digit number. So you could do the first one, that's how I do it in my mind. The first one is a 4-digit number, so 6069, and the second is a 3-digit number, 060. And then go from there. Obviously, it's still the same 7 digits, but by sort of mentally packaging it a little bit into 2 separate numbers, it's arguably a little bit easier. And I wanted to check the human benchmark performance test in terms of remembering numbers, but I think 7 digits is well within below the median performance. So I think most people should be able to do that reasonably well. Right, so the fight phases between the intermissions are mostly uneventful, except for this staying alive game, which you can practice and which will get easier with improved gear for sure. But it's mostly a non-issue. Once you've dialed in your usage of your heals and this creation of space, you have infinite time in these phases, and if you play them well, there's nothing happening here. It's all about the memory game, nothing else. And the memory game is made a bit more challenging because you also have to kill the ad. So as soon as the ad spawns, immediately focus the ad and try to run your damage rotation and heal yourself whilst the memory game is going on. Now we have a Venom Storm going off, and I wanted to avoid getting into it, but I didn't manage. Okay, so 6, other side 0. This is the 3. No, sorry, this is the 9, and this is the 3. So 6, 0, 9, 3, 0, 9, 3. 6, 0, 9, 3, 0, 9, 3. 6, 0, 9, 3, and 0, 9, 3. So you can see the ad is dying reasonably well. You have much more time in this last phase than in the first one. So the dealing damage to the ad is not as important as it was before. So you can focus more on the memory game and less on the ad. Whereas in the first periods, you will have to focus more strongly on optimizing damage to the ad and sort of do the memory game with a little bit fewer of your mental resources available. Simply because what you want to avoid at all costs is the boss and the ad being active at the same time, because then, first of all, they can melee you to death, but even if that doesn't happen, then the double soul extinction cast will kill you for sure, unless you're a shaman and can interrupt one of them, which is a big selling point for Shaman actually on this encounter, because it removes the main challenge of the fight. As I get almost killed here, probably not playing particularly well, knowing that the fight is already won. So yeah, essentially the boss doesn't get progressively more difficult. Maybe there's a few more poison waves in the end, I'm not quite sure, that's how it felt, but it's not the biggest of deals. So at the time you win the third memory game, the encounter is basically over. Now you just must not make any stupid mistakes with your HP. But if you can just stand there and heal yourself the entire time and not do any damage and wait for Valera to finish the job after a long time of trying. So yeah, essentially that's the encounter. I would urge you to try out this memory game approach with the clock. It helped me. I found it superior to doing it by simply trying to remember the sequences in a less structured way. But yeah, I think the higher your item level becomes, the easier it will be to focus mainly on the memory game, and less so on killing the ad, because you will just naturally deal more damage, and also less so on healing yourself, because you will just take less damage. as Valera one-shots the last 5% of the boss, and the boss dies, and you will get a mount and so on. I had my first kill on the Paladin, so this is not the first kill on this boss, but you can check out the Paladin section at a little bit of a later point as well. In terms of rating the healers for their suitability for dealing with this boss, I would say the best suited is, it's difficult to say, maybe Paladin, actually. They have such strong self-heal with Eternal Flame, you can just heal yourself with a press of a button. It's pretty easy. They also have reasonably high damage. They also take less damage. They have quite strong cooldowns with Wings and Divine Toll for dealing damage to the ad relatively quickly, so that's very strong. Shaman is strong because of the second kick, and also not taking that much damage. What else? Holy Priest I found quite strong because Apotheosis and dealing damage via your Chastise and double Holy Fire can kill the ad relatively quickly in the intermission, and you can have Apotheosis ready for each of the intermissions. What was difficult was Evoker. Monk was not that easy because also probably low item level, took a lot of damage, and the creating distance is of limited value as a monk because you're a melee focused healer. What else? Have I forgot one? I'm not quite sure. Discipline Priest I haven't done. And Druid, Druid I also haven't done. Druid I would think is pretty difficult because you constantly need to balance healing over time effects against the dealing damage in cat form. And my Druid is like 280 or something, so I couldn't be bothered to try it out yet. Anyway, I hope this was somewhat insightful to you. Check out the other gameplay sections in the video if that's something that you think might help you with the boss. And with that being said, the best of luck in killing it if you haven't done so already, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
My blades are ready.
Venom's Delve. Determine a new attack. Echo of new attack.
Go!
Echo of new attack. Echo of new attack. Echo of new attack. Echo of new attack. Venom's Delve. Venom's Delve. Can't outrun poison. For the sacrifice. Drown in death. Poison your blood.
This is for you.
For the sacrifice. Poison your blood. Drown in death. For the sacrifice. Venom burn deep, flesh and bone. Drown in death. Can't outrun poison. For the sacrifice. Drown in death. Poison your blood and
Sermon of New Attack. Echo of New Attack.
I've had enough of your tricks.
Echo of New Attack. Echo of New Attack.
I've sped your steps. Make it count.
Echo of New Attack. Echo of New Attack. Echo of New Attack.
I've had enough of your tricks.
Can't outrun poison.
Venom Strike.
Drown in death. For the sacrifice. Venom burn deep, flesh and bone.
Venom Strike.
Drown in death.
A deadly poison.
Can't outrun poison. For the sacrifice.
Venom Strike.
Drown in death. Poison your blood and Venom burn deep, flesh and bone.
Venom Strike.
Drown in death. For the sacrifice. Venom burn deep, flesh and bone.
Venom Strike.
Drown in death.
deadly.
Poison your blood for the sacrifice.
Discernment of new attack. Echo 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 of new attack.
This is for you.
Venomfall.
Poison your blood. Can't outrun poison.
Venomfall.
Drown in death for the sacrifice. Venom burn deep flesh and bone. And
Venomfall.
drown in death. Can't outrun poison. For the sacrifice.
Venomfall.
Drown in death. Venom burn deep. Attack was for you.
had enough of your tricks. That's our target.
Poison your blood for the sacrifice. Drown in death. Can't outrun poison. Unworthy. Drown in death. Can't outrun poison. For the sacrifice. Drown in death. Can't outrun poison. Unworthy. Poison your blood for the sacrifice. Drown in death.
That's our target.
Venom burn deep, flesh and bone. Unworthy. Drown in death.
Breathe deep, burn.
Can't outrun poison. All attack. All attack.
That's our target. I don't think
I don't
so.
have a target.
For the sacrifice. Drown in death. Can't outrun poison. Unworthy. Die by the fang!
Noxious File.
Burn deep flesh and bone!
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Noxious File.
Poison!
A deadly poison.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood!
Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Sermon of You attack.
You're faster now. Go!
Void Toxin. Echo of You attack. Echo of You attack. Extinction. Echo of You attack. Echo of You attack. Echo of You attack. Void
This is for
Toxin.
you.
Noxious File.
Burn deep flesh and bone!
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood!
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood!
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Burn deep flesh and bone!
Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Burn deep flesh and bone!
Void Toxin. Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood!
This is for you.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood!
Venom Flame.
Paladin death!
Soul Extinction. Void Toxin.
That's our target.
Noxious Fire. Sermon of You attack. Void Toxin. Echo of You attack.
That. I don't
Echo
think
of You attack. Echo of You attack. Echo of You attack. Echo of You attack. Echo of You attack. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood!
Soul Extinction. Venomfall. Void toxin.
A deadly poison.
Noxious fire.
Poison.
Soul extinction. Soul extinction. Void toxin. Venomfall. Noxious fire. Soul extinction. Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Soul extinction.
Silence.
Venomfall. Void toxin.
I spec.
Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Soul extinction. Venomfall. Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Deep flesh and bone.
Soul extinction. Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Venomfall.
In death.
Soul extinction.
You're faster now. Go.
Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Poison.
Soul extinction. Sermon of new attack.
A deadly poison.
Void toxin. Soul extinction. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Void toxin. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack.
This is for you.
Echo of you attack. Venomfall.
In death.
Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Soul extinction. Venomfall. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Soul extinction. Noxious fire.
Deep flesh and bone.
Venomfall.
In death.
Void toxin. Soul extinction. Noxious fire.
Poison.
Soul extinction.
Drown in death.
Noxious fire.
Poison.
Soul extinction. Void Toxin. Noxious Fire. Venomfall. Soul Extinction.
Was for you. I bring death.
Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Venomfall. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire. Venomfall. Sermon of you attack.
Marked for death.
Void Toxin. Echo of you attack. Echo of you extinction.
Casting a spell.
Echo
I
of
don't
you
think
attack.
so.
Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Void Toxin. Void Toxin. Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Venomfall. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire. Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Deep flesh and bone.
Venomfall.
Drown in death.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood.
Venomfall.
Drown in death.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood.
Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison your blood.
Venomfall.
Drown in death.
A deadly poison.
Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
Poison.
Sermon of you attack.
This is for you.
Void Toxin. Echo of you attack. Soul Extinction.
I've had enough of your
Echo
tricks.
of you attack. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Void Toxin. Echo of you attack. Soul extinction. Venom storm. Soul extinction.
Poison your blood.
Void toxin. Soul extinction. Venom storm. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Void toxin. Soul extinction. Noxious fire.
Burn deep, flesh and bone.
Venom storm.
Drown in death.
Void toxin. Soul extinction. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Soul extinction.
Drown in death.
Noxious fire.
Poison.
Soul extinction. Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Poison.
Venom storm.
Drown in death.
Soul extinction. Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Burn deep, flesh and bone.
Soul extinction. Venom storm.
Drown in death.
Void toxin. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood.
Soul extinction. Sermon of you attack. Void toxin. Soul extinction. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Echo of you attack. Void toxin. Echo of you attack. Echo of you extinction.
I've had enough of your tricks.
Echo of you attack.
You're faster now. Go!
Venom storm. Noxious fire.
Poison your blood. For the sacrifice.
This is for you.
Noxious fire.
Poison.
Venom storm.
In death.
Void toxin. Soul extinction. Soul extinction. Noxious fire.
Poison.
That's our target.
Void toxin. Venom storm.
In death.
Soul extinction. Noxious fire.
Burn deep, flesh and bone.
Void toxin. Noxious Fire. Venom's Delve. Void Toxin. Soul Extinction. Noxious Fire.
This is for you.